Welcome back to Divas, Diamonds, and Dollars podcast. We empower career women, business owners, and late bloomers with the tools and strategies for living a bolder, fuller life. Each week, we give you the key success principles on business, leadership, and personal finance to help you get more life in your lifestyle. Follow us to get ahead and succeed at a higher level. We are your hosts, Larisa Troche and
I am Cecilia Benford.
Ha. Well, you know what this month is. Are you working on creating your own hot streak? Do you need some ideas on the latest trends to tap into? Is your company, for example, in agreement with your desires to be successful? I know sometimes it doesn't feel like it. You're like, I'm the Lone Ranger trying to get it done.
Hmm.
Oh, wait, am I telling on myself? What does your future career job look like, for example? That's a thought. Now, our assumption is that you have thought about what you want to do to make money, or you're in the process, at least, of leveling up your finances and business ownership.
All right. Hot August. Yes. It is always good to set the stage for an awareness of both sides of a situation. That I always feel that. Somehow I think that's why I can see both sides of a situation because I tend to think that way. I believe I've honed that over time. So, simply stated, we all know there are gender specific obstacles that hold women back in the workforce. Who created that? Who knows? It doesn't matter. We also have experience coming out of the pandemic fog. Yes, I'm almost tired of talking about it, but that fog is still lingering, ladies and gentlemen, if you happen to be joining us. This gave women an opportunity to look at what they consider their perfect life balance. Here is what I discovered after researching and comparing various sources. At the end of the day, we know what we want despite obstacles. You know, when you're talking to somebody, you don't start out saying, I've got an obstacle, but this is what I want. That's not how we talk, right?
No, that's not our
So,
vernacular.
yeah, exactly. And so as you look at the global trends, yeah, there are trends that are affecting the wellness of women in the workplace everywhere you look.
So, gentle persons, as we consider trends and women knowing what they want, let me tell you why it matters. That's the meat of it all. So the
Mm.
workplace is evolving. It might be moving. Some workplaces might feel faster or slower, but it is evolving, and women are leading this charge. Women are launching businesses at record rates. Did you know 40% of new businesses in 2025 started by women?
Mm. That's huge. That's huge.
That is like taking over the joint.
Yeah.
Gender equity, tech, and flexible modes are reshaping leadership norms. And frankly, changing the corporate structure takes time, even though women make up nearly half of the global workforce. I'm pretty sure it means men are resistant. That was just a nice way to say that.
I know it. I know it.
I'm going to suggest, however, or state the obvious, that some continue to frame the same old narrative.
Mm.
The MOFCHAN agency conducted a study and found queries higher for a male CEO's professional traits, those of education and compensation. I don't know why that would be. While female CEOs' personal characteristics focused on husbands and families. Now, you might want to look up that survey because that requires further study. I'm like, what the hey?
Well, when I read that, just to let you know, I'm a little concerned about that from this standpoint. There are groups of people out there who are talking about women are, the fertility rate's down, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, okay. And that I know we can think of some reasons for that, But the fact that now there's even talk about incentivizing women to have babies,
I did see
that,
that.
that really makes this whole discussion even a little bit more concerning.
We said we were not going to go political, so let me move on. Underrepresentation in leadership, unequal pay, and discrimination are still hurdles that women find are impacting their financial stability, career growth, and well being. Women founded startups still only receive less than 3% of venture capital funding. And I think early this month, we already told you that Black businesses get less than 1%. So I got some thoughts on that, but let's go ahead and put a comma in there. I'm going to let Cecilia give me a moment to breathe. Go ahead, girlfriend.
Yeah, excuse me. So, hey, this is all about where you fit in, right? And while sometimes you think you're just one little piece of the pie, or your niche is small, or you may even feel like you're only a pebble on a sandy beach. But there is actually a global perspective that truly does track what women are doing in the world. And so I found this also fascinating, that in Africa, entrepreneurs in Africa, they are the fastest growing region. Just recently returned from Africa, and we were going to one section, and this guy was speaking, and he wanted to know of the people who were there, what were the things that stood out about what we had seen. And two words that I remember coming up was how entrepreneurial the people were. That is so true. I've never seen nothing like it. In fact, I thought, oh my gosh, we need to take this back to the United States. Just saying. Okay, Latin America. What they found is that there's a strong rise in female financial tech and e-commerce founders. And then let's go over to Asia. There's a high growth in women-related tech-enabled micro businesses. So I just want to say, let's hear for the ladies. Let's hear for our women entrepreneurs. So remember, I said I did research because, you know, I think in order to make this so profound to how important this is, what this really means is what does the research say? Lots of statistics out there. So there was a new group, well, one that I had not seen before, Wellable Research. That's really the name of the company, Wellable. It sounds almost like hard to say, but many of you probably have heard of the Pew Research Center. And so they both yielded a lot of statistics. And so back to the plus side, women are a rising share of the high-paying occupations, particularly for U.S. managers and professionals. And studies support what women prioritize. So that's what we're talking about. What do women want? But when you hear what women prioritize, it's probably not going to be a surprise, actually. Inclusivity, collaboration, creativity, and compassion. All of these drive innovation and navigating complex situations. And so, when I think about that, it just popped into my mind just now. Well, that's why whoever coined the term good old boys club,
Mm.
it's pretty static, right? And that good old boys club really isn't really into these sort of things. Now, it sounds like I'm stereotyping, but you know what? Hey, just follow it, follow the money, follow some of your experiences. You know it's true. So, women have been making gains in male and female dominated professional occupations. Two of the reasons, one is they've been outpacing men in college completion. Doesn't say, who starts college is more, but it's in college completion. Now, I find that pretty amazing because a lot of these women are raising families
Mm.
and having children. And oh, by the way, yeah, we can do all of this. I remember working and raising a family and going to school.
That's
So,
how I did it. I was not a full-time student. I got all my degrees while working full-time,
yeah,
raising two kids, and getting her done.
that's right. That's right. And then the other thing, think about what I said earlier about inclusivity, collaboration, compassion. Well, the other reason is um, women have an edge over men, particularly where social skills or people skills are more important. I know that from my own personal experience. People came to me because the male person, nobody said that, at least in so many words, we're not going to take on certain things when, that things that require a conversation, things that require, some nurturing. I'm just going to use that word as somewhat of a, covering. Okay. So what else? What else is going on? The remote revolution. So, obviously a lot of that came about because of the pandemic when we could not see each other. And if you were in that situation, and most of us were, it certainly created a whole new world. That's why we have a lot of empty office spaces still. So if you're remote in the United States, guess what? You can connect globally. A lot of times when you were in your offices, the offices were set up a certain way, and you were probably going through, whatever the office's data, whatever they had set up for you. But when you're doing your own thing remotely and how things are sent out into the atmosphere, so to speak, you can connect with more people, just like our podcast connects with other people. That's one of the reasons I like to emphasize the global aspect of things because I know that we are accessible to the global world. Um, Hybrid or remote models are preferred by 72% of women professionals. So there you are. Another thing, because of the remote aspect, is causing business models that really feature digital first. Okay. So are we still presenting paper products? Well, of course we are, but you can put those up digitally, You don't have to do a physical handoff. Women leading distributed teams, which means anywhere and everywhere. We don't have to all sit in the same office, and it's certainly global collaborations, as I've already indicated. And so, as an outgrowth of all that, we have new models of leadership and we have key skills that women are developing. So, I think this is a good news story when we talk about trends that are happening right now. Trust and autonomy. Oh my gosh. Do we need that? Did we need that? Yay. They are core leadership values. So if you are struggling in that department or were concerned, go for it. Go for it. Results-backed work. That's what's important. Does the work get done? Putting it on a clock, you know what? Okay, so maybe. But when I read this particular trend, it reminded me of the fact that as a leader, I work beyond that clock. I
Mm-hmm.
did things in the evening.
Mm-hmm.
And so I found that a lot of women did, um, for various reasons. And so it's not really a surprise to me that, we're in this kind of environment. So the other aspect, if we think about our social skills, and um, I believe we have honed that through that has grown into thought leadership. I think we had it all along. Think about it as, Larissa processes, right? Well, that started from here. And so now that we're more open, feeling more comfortable about our own autonomy, well, then thought leadership and personal branding becomes more visible, becomes certainly it's doable, but that I think is more of a confidence level that has happened. And you see, well, of course I can do that. And yes, I've been doing it all along, but I just didn't see it that way. Financial management and investment literacy is certainly growing. Luis and I talk about this all the time. This is something that certainly has been needed. If you are a single person for whatever reason, always been, a partner or a significant other has died, whatever the case may be, you always need to be managing your finances. You always need an investment strategy. So you put those things together as entrepreneurs, we hope you are continuing to develop your financial and investment literacy.
I hope that we always say, well, if there's one thing you take away, I hope that you are hearing that the opportunities are plentiful and that you are encouraged to sally forth.
Yes.
And my favorite soapbox, if you will, is entrepreneurship, right? So, what are some of the entrepreneurship trends? Well, I'm just going to suggest, or maybe I'm just going to state overtly, that women aren't just adapting to the future of work trends or thinking whether to forge ahead with being an entrepreneur. They're building it. And
Hmm.
so consider micro entrepreneurship. We talk about one of the ways to get involved in, as a multipreneur is from coaching, consulting, and or digital products using your brain power. You do not have to have, I don't recommend, necessarily inventory that you have to stock and,
Hmm.
FIFO, first in, first out, and worry about, overhead. So look at micro entrepreneurship opportunities, make it, let it grow as big as you, can handle a team.
Hmm.
And you already know, we used to say that the internet was a great equalizer, right? Once you were online, you could reach so many people, and no one knows how big you are as long as you deliver on the bottom line, right? And well, we have artificial intelligence for lean operations. Talk
Hmm.
about cloning yourself, right? This is
Yeah.
welcome to Cloning 101 AI. Embrace it. I have been taking a deep dive detour. I had heard or otherwise learned that you could learn a foreign language using Chat GPT, and I had my first foray into that.
Hmm.
I It works better on your cell phone. Little hint. Let me, if you're curious, use your cell phone, not your laptop.
Oh.
And oh my gosh, it was the most amazing thing. First of all, I understood a lot more than I thought I could understand, and or would understand. But it was so enjoyable. I couldn't keep a straight face. I couldn't even think straight. I was having such a good time.
Oh, wow.
So I'm super
Hey.
excited about it. And yeah, you need to give that a whirl. First of all, you have
Okay.
a very sexy voice. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so distracted. But it was so fun. So I'm looking forward to, I will be fluent by the end of the year or better anyway. So check it out. And again, I'm talking about cloning yourself. Artificial intelligence can help you do more. This is just one of the aspects in terms of your personal growth. If you're thinking of a foreign language, they got you.
All right. All right. Who knew?
Yeah, it was too much. So
Hmm.
crowdfunding and alternative finances, aka revenue-based funding, and that's a whole different story we could talk about.
Hmm.
More women entering angel investing and startup mentorship. We talked about that collaboration, compassion, and driving innovation, helping others. We do that so well.
Hmm.
More women getting it done. So, Cecilia, bring us home.
Yeah, I'm starting to get excited about, it's just like the possibilities are endless, period, So this was exciting to me. I wish I probably, well, that's not true. I don't wish anything. But it does make me think about what else can be done. It does make me think that, okay, if you get bored or whatever, hey, the things that we talked about already and have talked about, there's just a lot of people out there who can use your skills. Um, you have skills that a lot of you haven't tapped into. You have them, and so the trends are trends for a reason. It means to do something. Okay, so that's why we're at our action item. Trends, numbers, and facts are real for women in business and the workplace, right? They're real. This isn't something somebody made up. This isn't something that's not happening because it is. Many opportunities abound. Why? Because women know what they want. And many of those women, most of those women, they are going after it. Expect more gains as you join those who are broadening their scope of interest and horizons. I mean, I always think about the fact that I know we were created with great brains. We use very little of it.
Hmm.
So think
I
about
find
that.
that fascinating. Every time I
Yeah.
hear that, I'm fascinated by that idea. I'm like, there's just because my little brain gets a workout. Anyway, go
Right.
ahead.
Yeah. So, but anyway, continue balancing business and guess what? Your caregiving responsibilities, because you might be carrying more than just children. We do take care of other people, but that helps us see what else is needed. That helps us mentor others. That helps us talk to somebody else about an idea. And the only reason I wanted to put that in there is because we are not, one, a monolith. Two, people, we're not business people only, and then we go home and do all these other things. We do it all. That's the point. And so these people who want to go look at it and ask you how many, whatever you have or whatever, which is really not even it's a non-starter for me because it doesn't matter. I know how to balance life, and that's what we do. So, delicious pro tip. Women, you have the power to build personal brands that can support a career, whether you're pivoting or not, and any new business ventures.
And so we hope that you are inspired by learning about today's trends. And I mean, each week we hope to, get you juiced and ready to, sally forth. At the end of the day, I just want you to sally forth and, well, not today's army. Just be all you can be, right? There's a lot of opportunities, and you've got the tools at your hand. I already said the internet was a great equalizer, compounded by artificial intelligence. Don't let thinking small hold you back. There are so many things you can do. But before we jump off into a whole other conversation, because we got way too much going on, Cecilia, remind us what's coming up next week.
Right. So we hope that you, at the sound of my voice, I'm going to make this assumption that you have listened to this and you're going to look forward to who is our next Voyager, our trailblazer interviewee. Her name is Velvet Hux, and she's going to talk to you about her journey. So, from corporate to her own business. That's who we're talking about. You too can be that person. So, please look forward to the next interview.
We will see you then, ladybirds. Ciao.